I'm Janae Roscoe. I am an employee at Operation Hope. Our founder, chairman, CEO is John Hope Bryant. He is a fantastic entrepreneur. He came out of Los Angeles. He was an investment banker. The LA riots happened. He decided to start a nonprofit called Operation Hope to bring access to capital back in communities that were underserved and help grow small businesses and entrepreneurs and teach financial inclusion. So why do I bring that up? And why did I bring on my eyeglass case? Because I don't know, during the course of this conversation, I'm hoping my NASA glasses change colors. I'm gonna put them on because they inspire me. I thought coming out of the patent and trade office, and we're going into this conversation talking about WebEx. We're talking about space AI, and NASA is all about space. And we often think about the astronauts, and we think about the rockets, and the vice president is big in supporting the president and this current administration around space innovation and working with HBCUs. I just came from the White House Initiative on HBCU conference, where there was a lot of focus on SpaceCom and a lot of focus on space and AI. So I wanted to sort of tie that into what this conversation is about and build off of what you just heard from the USPTO. The Commerce Department is all about helping small businesses, SMEs, big businesses. U.S. Patent and Trade Office helps you on your trademarks, patents, copyright protections. And when you think about Web3 and you think about the innovation that's happening in the blockchain space and the AI space, it's all very entrepreneurial. And so we've got three people here who are going to talk about hitting Web3 and applications and blockchains from a really different perspective. And I hope that you guys are open-minded to hear about it. I heard a couple weeks ago at another conference, I got a chance to go to the African American financial advisors. And I got a chance to meet, how many people here have heard of Black Chat GPT? Anybody? Got a couple people here. It's a bad sister, Erin read it. She talked about creating Chat Black GPT because she just felt like in the traditional GPT space, she needed to create the conversation about protecting our history, protecting who we are, and giving people better stereotypes and understanding in the AI space about who we were as a people. And I think it's extraordinary how we're finding a lot of people using Web3 application opportunities to be out there in the blockchain and the AI space to make things happen. My boss, John Hope Bryant, in Operation Hope, we have what is called an AI Council that was created at our Hope Global Forum last year. We have it coming up again in December. You can go on Operation Hope's website, www.operationhope.org, and learn more about it. And also the AI Council. He co-chairs it with Sam Altman. I think y'all know who he is. So we're really serious about talking about this from all different angles and perspectives. And with that said, I want to start off with our speakers here. And I want to be able to have them, introduce themselves to you. But I want to share a couple things about what you may not know outside of what you saw on the agenda about the work that they're doing. I first want to talk with you about the State Department. I want you to talk about the foreign media press perspective of, we can go to that last. Let me start off then with Dion Buzzy Reader. She's going to tell you about the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative, but she also has a catering business. And in the catering business, which I went on the website, I noticed that she was bold enough to be an entrepreneur and say, you don't just have to pay with credit cards. You can actually go to Cash App. You can use other forms of access to capital to make payments. What made you do that? I think that was really bold, and I'm really impressed, and I almost ordered a couple of things on there, but I'm gonna do it after the speech. Hit the button. How about this?
I think it's on. I think I got it. Thank you. Well, again, thank you. My name is Dion Bussey Reeder. I have several roles. I'm here representing the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative, where I've had the pleasure of working almost collectively 22 years, but 2 different times. In that space, we are a nonprofit, one of the largest nonprofits in Southeast Washington, D.C. I am proud to say, if many of you guys have been on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, there's a Busboys and Poets there. Well, we own the building. The African American nonprofit owned the building. One of the reasons why I brought that up, as we were looking at economics, many people ask, well, why do you guys want to own a building? Well, for me, I am a business owner. Many of the people I supervise are social workers, and God bless social workers, we need you. But I have a different perspective on how we continue to allow revenue to generate in our own community that we make. So I have several tenants in the building. We have about 30 employees that are on the top level. I have tenants on the second level, and then the home of the Busboys and Poets is our anchor tenant. And that's important because for me, the part of this conversation that matters is really how we generate wealth in those communities, well, more often than not, have been left behind. So that's one aspect of my work. I also own a restaurant and a bar and a catering company that sits inside of the same community in Congress Heights, the Congress Heights part of Ward 8. And let me say this, all of Ward 8 is not Anacostia. So I'm gonna say that. We have this bad habit here of just assuming that there are no communities. There are 33 communities inside of Ward 8. So where the full-time job is actually Anacostia, and where my restaurant is Congress Heights. I have 9 full-time employees and 8 gig workers. So the question was asked, why is it that we take Cash App? I even take Zelle, if someone wants to pay with Zelle. Because more often than not, several things occur in communities that we have. I love to call them community of promise. But more oftentimes, they're a community that actually have more incidents of child abuse and neglect and more higher rates of poverty and also crime. And it's easier for me to utilize electronic payments than carrying a lot of cash. So it was a decision we made because many of my employees, after they didn't have bank accounts, and they said to me, and I believe in hiring people from my community, and we don't pay minimum wage. There's not a person in my organization that makes less than $18.50 to $20 an hour. So for me, it was critically important to have electronic means of payment. I had a young person even tell me they're going to Apple Pay me for some chicken wings and crab fries. But the funny thing about it, we have this misnomer that people have more cash in those communities, but they actually prefer digital ways of actually utilizing their money. So it was really because of the community we serve. We serve a community that they use Apple Pay, they use Cash App, and many of them now use Zelle to actually transfer payments. So why wouldn't we be acceptable to offering those type of mechanisms and revenues for individuals to pay for our food and our service? So I'd love to talk more about why I think this is important, but thank you again for the opportunity to be here with you.
That was fantastic. It was a good tie-in to a couple of sessions that took place yesterday here at Howard University, where they were talking about we take the hood for granted, and we think that just because they're not multimillionaires, it doesn't mean that there's not multimillionaire economic growth and opportunity that are in our hoods. And they're using diversified ways to start to learn how to grow their own capital base. With that said, a lot of you probably know through the work of Operation Hope, we work with Shopify. We have a 1 Million Black Business Initiative, and during COVID, 40% of businesses were lost in the Black community. And so we created this 10-year alliance to work with them to help businesses grow in a virtual way. And Shopify has this blockchain Web3 initiative, so we're able to expose people to the opportunities that exist there. But I'm more excited because you get to hear from Sierra Gross. She's the founder and CEO of Worklution Incorporated, and this is just going to tell you about how she decided how to use AI, Web3, and just a unique way to help provide HR services and opportunities for the employee, not just the employer HR resource component.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sierra Gross. As she said, I'm the founder and CEO of Worklution. We bill ourselves as a future of work solutions company, meaning we create solutions that don't exist to make the world of work better for everyone, particularly folks that look like me. Our flagship brand, we have two brands. Our flagship brand is Caged Bird HR, yes, like the poem. It was the first HR services company to provide employees direct access to independent HR support. So if you find yourself going through adversity at work and you don't necessarily trust your job's HR, you can talk to independent HR professionals that can help you through negotiating job offers, dealing with severance, performance improvement plans, et cetera. And the value there is that we are decentralized in that we don't work for any one organization. And so we can tell you the truth and how to navigate these situations effectively because most people don't really understand HR enough to be able to navigate those situations. Our second brand is an AI technology product called Work Receipts. So work, W-R-K, so there's no O, and then receipts. It's a mobile application designed to help you easily document and send your work records. So how many of y'all started a job and started a Word document somewhere or secretly taking screenshots just in case something comes up and you need to defend yourself? Well, the product allows you to do that easily, and then we've also connected it to our generative AI employee advocate named Jayla, who's trained on our proprietary data set. So to the panel before us, you know, your AI is only good as a data set that it's trained on. From the Caged Bird side, we support people nationwide, 80% of which are Black and brown people. And so we argue that we have the most comprehensive data set into the employee experience available anywhere in the world. And so that product will go into beta next week, and then it plans to be released to the market October 7th. So you can go to workreceipts.com to join the wait list. And that's what I do.
Awesome. Let's give her a round of applause for that. Well, we've got a journalist and independent thinker who tells the stories all over the world about plenty of topics, but including this one. Give us a big perspective based on not only what you just heard here, but what you've heard around the world around this issue.
Well, thank you for having me here. Good morning, everyone. Well, good afternoon. I'm Carmen Rodriguez. I'm a journalist, exiled journalist from El Salvador, and I have been covering since 2016 issues related to immigration, impact of U.S. policies towards Central America, especially in El Salvador. And then, since 2021, I've been focused more in El Salvador because I think, how many of you have heard about El Salvador recently? And I think you have heard that El Salvador has become the most safe country in the world with the coolest dictator in the world. So I'm focusing more on that because, and there's other topic that we have heard about El Salvador, and is Bitcoin. Yep. And all the technology around this. But I've been covering the high part of the story of El Salvador and the evolution of this technology movement in El Salvador. So, and that has caused me threats for the government of my country. I can't travel to my country because I was reporting on how Bitcoin has become a tool for the government to money laundering for narcos and other extremist groups. And I've been working also with other journalists and other Salvadorians around how all of this has a negative impact on poor people and in the society. So I'm here to talk a little more about that.
I know that we're trying to move the program along. If there are some questions one or two that are out there, this is the time to ask the question for any of our panelists here. If not, I can come up with one more and have us do a final comment round. Are there any questions? Okay, if not, I'm going to throw it back to end this session on each of the speakers. If there's one thing you want to leave with the audience, both virtually and here in person, what do you want to leave for people around Web3, AI, Bitcoin, blockchain, and what is it like for you to be entrepreneurs and deciding to use this space to help your business go to the next level?
Yeah, I think for me as a Black woman with an AI startup, it's not many of us out there. I think the thing that is important to leave with you all is that we're all brilliant in our own right, and I know AI is big and scary, and it's changing every day. It's getting faster, smarter, cheaper, which means it's getting more accessible. I think we are in, the third industrial revolution right now as far as being on the pendulum of changing how we operate as a humanity. And it is critically important that we are represented in this AI race, because when we are a part of it, then we can shape it. Over the past 2 years on the Caged Bird side, Caged Bird will clear $1 million, if not the end of this year, top of next year. And to do that in 2 years has taken okay, not kicking me off the stage, girl. And to do that in 2 years has taken an incredible amount of, quite frankly, grinding and bringing people along, right? We have a team, so I'm the only person on my cap table. All my employees are Black or brown. And so I think for me, I just want to communicate to y'all that there is space for us in this AI race, that you are all brilliant in your own right, but if you wait for other people to validate that for you, you'll never recognize it. So I would encourage everybody, all businesses are technology businesses at the end of the day, so throw your hat into the ring. Even if you don't know, I've had to figure out so many things as I've gone on in the process, right? Like, who knew that you could file trademarks for free if you was a first-time filer? Well, I done spent about $20,000 with the trademark office. And I come up in here and find out that I could have done it for free. So a lot of the things I've figured out along the way, but I just want to encourage everybody that if you can, to get into the AI blockchain space. Another thing that we're working on at Worklution, I tell my team, I don't have any interest in doing anything that's already been done. We are the ones who are going to create the future, and because of work receipts, we are allowing people to create a log, basically, of everything that happens at work. And in that, it is our responsibility to figure out, is there space for us to leverage blockchain technologies to do that, to make it safer and more accessible to everybody? So that's what I will leave you all with.
Thank you for that. Fit, am I on yet? Okay. I'm going to blame it on my age. I'm 53. So any technology thing I'm going to say is all because of my age, First of all, thank you for that. And I believe that is important for me in any space that I'm in. And this is my philosophy. I know very little about the blockchain. I'm learning as Sinclair, who's a dear friend, she sends me more information. I read more. And when you asked me to be on a panel, I spent the last 48 hours finding as much information as I could so I would be intelligent representing my mother and father here. So that's important for me. But any space that I'm in my life, my work journey, is to advance people of color. That's the bottom line. How I do that is through the tools that God has given me. So as I thought about this today, I would like to leave you with a couple of notes that I did prepare, because the community that I serve each and every day, and I mean it's 7 days a week, I live east of the river, Anacostia River. I am a fourth-generation Washingtonian, and I used to ride my bike around Howard University. We still own my home on Kenyon Street. So it wasn't that I had to move east of Anacostia River, but I did because I never understood how people who live 15 minutes from me, that their circumstances were so dismal in comparison to the amenities and the opportunities that I had here in Northwest Washington, D.C. So if I was to leave you wonderful, smart, brilliant people with anything, it would be not to forget those individuals. Create opportunities. I use a model more often than not, which is really centered around the Promise community models. I work block by block, informing residents of opportunities for them to excel. informing people of opportunities for them to love themselves better. And how you do that, many of our families are hurting, you guys. And this is an election year, and we're focusing on the national race, which is critically important. I am a supporter of Kamala. I don't have to say that. I'm unapologetically around that. But I'm also critically important. It's important for me to look at the local races. And how do we impact what we're doing locally to change the dynamics for individuals who are suffering and are living 30% below the average median income and the poverty line in the District of Columbia? So when I think about the smart, bright young people that I interact with on a regular basis, I had a young man that 10 years ago created an app so that young people who were latchkey kids could come home and find places to find food in their neighborhood. For the first year, organization paid, we got it launched, but nothing became of that because we did not have enough advocacy to realize that was an opportunity for that young man maybe to never have to work again. So we have to be more, and I love the academic space. I am a master's student from Howard University myself. But it's so important as we see here in these spaces and talk to each other that we move beyond this conversation of academia and go inside those communities where people are looking for opportunities to move themselves beyond $15 an hour, $17 an hour, $18 an hour, so that they can remain in this city as prosperous individuals like we all want to be, and many of us are. So if I was to leave you with anything, when you think about the work that I do in the social service space, we cannot advance people. They will never be able to come off of government entitlement. They will never be able to see themselves beyond the space they're in if we collectively do not open up access for them to be able to sit home and make $80,000,
Thank you for that.
$120,000. So for
Let's
me,
give her a round of applause for
that's critically important. So thank you all. I'm gonna pass the mic, but that's the
Carmen.
one thing I gotta leave for you. We can't keep it here, because here is not where the masses are. Here's where the smart people are. We have to take this movement to those communities where we need to see people move beyond what the circumstances they're in today.
Amen,
So
amen,
thank you.
amen. Carmen Rodriguez, close us out. Last statement.
Yeah, so, well, technology is becoming an opportunity for a lot of us here. I would like to raise awareness that is being used as a tool against poor people, people that does not have access to education, not only in El Salvador. We have communities here that are marginalized from technology. And just to have something important, 80% of El Salvador populations has no access to internet, neither to a smartphone. So while we are listening that El Salvador is becoming a land of technology and progress, we still have 80% of the populations that does not have any access of what we have here in our hands. So imagine how this impact the lives of people that at the same time are not having access to education, neither to a bank account, neither to information, and how the technology can be can have a negative impact in our communities. And that later cause is a cause of immigration, of poverty, of marginalization, gentrifications impact also these people. So I think I will wrap up this with this message, like just think about that while we are celebrating and we are having access to all of these important tools, as Dion says, like she's using all these apps to pay her employees. There's a lot of people, even in the US, especially black and brown people, that have no access to this technology. And that has a huge negative impact in our lives.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this session. We're moving on to the next one. Thank you, Black Blockchain Summit, for giving us an opportunity to provide education and awareness and expose people to entrepreneurs, journalists, and people in the nonprofit space doing whatever it takes to help people learn more, do more, and be more.